So a lot of people are wondering what the government's thinking about. I mean, there's a lot happening on a military scale, and the government's always sort of actioning against certain parts of the world. And they're always thinking about actioning about other parts of the world, and they're always trying to figure out what they should be hitting. When Obama said that he wanted to focus on China, he expected to sort of escalate against China. However, that escalation sort of died pretty quick. No one knows what Korea is doing, whether they'll sort of actually blow an atomic bomb right in America's face. But so far it's still kind of secret what the military action is going to be doing. But, from a personal scale, I mean, USA seems to want to still make war against its enemies, even its old enemies. It's settled against Germany. Germany paid their millions and billions of dollars since the war. But they've always wanted to figure in places like Russia and also Asia and China. But the key factor in Russia is that Russia is linked to sort of terrorism, which could lead to the destruction of America. But they don't. They even have actioned against UFOs. They've had fighter jets trying to blast UFOs from the skies when they've been coming around, and some of them dive into the ocean. Others, they suppose that there is a link to the North Pole. During the World War, there was a person who flew over the North Pole or Antarctica or somewhere, and they said that there was an alien base there, and that was where the grey aliens came from. And no one really knew much about aliens then, but ever since, people have been abducted by aliens, grey aliens. They've been savage, they've put on human tests and whatnot. There's been a big issue sort of on a large scale with UFOs. And so that's sort of another kind of thing that they want to disrupt. But no one has really thought, no one has wanted to touch Italy as a terrorist vacation. It's simply because most people want to be Italian, and so they want to protect the Vatican, which is a large sort of church which is supposedly has ties to money. So they really want to protect Italy and everything. They don't want to sort of try to dig out who the criminals are. But they haven't actually also focused on England. Ever since the Germany wars, the Queen put her foot against Germany, and she actually stepped towards America. She was on this large parade, and it's like most people think she was running away from having had been a Nazi leader. Most people speculate that the Queen was largely involved in Germany and in the Nazi world until she went against it by linking with America and all the other countries that wanted to destroy Germany for its hot-headed leadership. And so, most people speculate that she most likely swung during the feud with Germany, and that she has been hailed as some sort of queen, as a rich queen ever since. Now, it's been focused that she has a large amount of money and property. She has apparently been able to aid in wars, and she has, as a result, won large amounts of world properties, etc., and money. So she's supposed to be living on a very rich throne, but many speculate that the throne is weak in the past, it's been said that the Queen's entitlement to the crown was weak. Some tried to say it was a media hoax and that she was painted just for the media. And when it escalated since the 1900s, and so it was speculated that she was done up for the media, but most squashed that speculation and claimed that she was a real queen on the real throne, and that she did rule what she ruled. But ever since, they've been displaying Prince Charles and his kids, it's been speculated that their kids are sort of done-up kids. The media's gone haywire against their faces. Most people say that their faces are lizard faces, which means they have the ability to change shape. The royal family's been put under some sort of creepy headline in order to portray them as creeps and false images and just unlikable characters. And that's been circulating around the magazines. And the royal family has been squashed in the image of the public in magazines. However, others have sort of ignored the magazines and tried to hail the Queen, etc., as a real royal monarchy. And, they've gone to the functions that they've held. People have, in England, hailed the Queen when she has a birthday party. It's a larger event than in any other country which is linked to the Queen, larger than sort of countries like Australia, where they celebrate the Queen's birthday by having a public holiday. And not many people regard it as the Queen's birthday. They don't, light a candle for her. They don't have a cake and have her image at the head of the table. They actually just call it a free day where they get to spend the day off and with family and be able to do what they want. They get to relax, they get to sleep in. So they don't really care. Whereas in England, there's a big concert, and she's sort of tried to be heralded as this larger-than-life figure, which not many people think she is. So they have an issue with, just the image that's been portrayed, the royal image. They don't come across as a permanent royals, and that sort of further weakened the position. And most claim that Prince Charles and Princess Diana didn't actually have kids, and that their kids were adopted, and they're actually from Australia. And when they're not in England, they have to go back to Australia in order to live as their real images. And it's been said that they actually look mentally retarded when they're not taking drugs and being done up for their media royal films. And so this is sort of a bit of an ongoing issue, that the claim of the sons are weak with the crown, and that people have tried to think of it as a voluntary organization. Some people feel better when they think that it's all just a play for a TV and public act. It's there to keep up the image of a heritage which would have otherwise been lost if it weren't being supported by the public to be portrayed. And most people like to think the government has the power, but it's been speculated that they don't actually have all the power, and that the royal monarchy has quite a lot of power in certain ways, despite the fact that they don't run the government or the military. So I think the fact that the Queen has been speculated, it's been speculated that she was a Nazi hater and that she made people in Australia feel uncomfortable to the extent that they decided that they needed to go to war against her specifically. They wanted to take down the British Royal Monarchy, and so they started to be what was later termed as Nazis. I mean, I think even a lot of them moved to Germany so that they could be part of another superpower that was apart from the British monarchy. And so this would make the Queen in favour of being an anti-Nazi. But others speculate that during the Nazi war, she actually was a Nazi member who sat on the English throne, and she was able to talk and fund Nazi activities. And then when the Nazi Germans were actually on the losing list, the Queen then decided to switch from being pro-Nazi and a Nazi member to anti-Nazi once again, as she combined forces with America in particular and all the other countries that were against Germany, moving to make war against the world. So there's been a lot of speculation about the Queen, and that she shouldn't have been able to keep her throne with the activities that she had been supporting during the Nazi reign. But others claim that she was an anti-Nazi all along, and that she had every right to be able to keep the throne. And but there's a lot of other things, despite the weak royal monarchy, which people want to speculate about rather than accept. A lot of that spam that you get that says you have won so and so millions of dollars. All you have to do is contact this person, and you'll be able to get your millions of dollars if you allow for a wire transfer or the money to be posted to you, etc. You find all this spam now, which will cost the general public thousands, if not millions of dollars, before they realize that they've lost the money and will not be able to get it back. So all this running activity actually comes majorly from England. They use the Trafalgar Square location in order to be able to rob people of their money. And so the spam just gets sent to anyone at random, and what it does is it just strips them of their money that they have in their bank accounts, and then when the subject who is a victim of these organizations, which are not properly run, which are individually run, when a person backs out of the scam, you can call it. When a person backs out because they've lost so much money that they won't be able to afford anymore, or they won't be able to or they won't be able to generally when they can't afford it anymore, or they're bankrupt or something, they stop. And so then the organization says, oh, well, you don't want this money that we're going to hand to you for free. And so what they've done is they made you pay, like, for the stamp duty. They've made you pay for the export of the item, the Queen stamp. They made you pay for anti-money laundering certification. They made you pay for their lawyers that you needed to get that certification. Some people claim that they even had to travel to Taiwan. So, people lose thousands of dollars just to have to travel to Taiwan for meetings that they don't actually, where they don't actually find anyone there to be able to meet with. and there's all this, money making. England is just, like a whirlpool, just draining money from people's pockets, and they just keep the lie going. It's like a burning fire that's being rekindled, and all you do is, it's like tossing money into the fire. All it does is disintegrate. And this happens every year. Some person gets scammed, they get pulled in, they get intrigued, they are interested to see how much they're going to lose before, before they, stop. There are many different reasons why a person does it. But when they do get it, this whirlwind of activity just collects all this money, and all these people get rich of it. The government gets rich, and the lawyers get rich. All these people involved in this dealing get rich, and then when it leaves the victim poor, it leaves all these other people paid and rich. And so, it really is just this big terrorist thing, which leaves people broke. And that all stems from Britain and England. And, they don't really care about it. That's where they get them another portion of the money. So, England is this big scamming blob I guess dirty people, you could say. They've got dirty people, dirty minds. It's like being pickpocketed, and the English monarchy supports that by having these things run from their shores. And through the government, etc. So it really is this big scamming thing, and England just gets richer and richer, and apparently, and they succeed in just ruining the lives of people, and that's sort of what England's about. It's not about making other people better. I mean, it's about making people feel poor and worthless while the Queen stands on her golden throne with all its, and she can just be as fake as she wants, and it's just this whole, just the whole of England just really makes you realize how much dirt they kind of throw at the world, and how much expectation is expected to make people smile at them. I mean, I think England's the dirtiest country, and that it should be pulled down from its activities to be able to be destroyed, because I think even in the personality of the people that's going to be considered normal. I mean, their personalities are corrupt. You more often meet a thug rather than a nice person, and the families support these kinds of people. They like people who look like thugs, and they like the people who smile as they pickpocket from other people. And even the Queen's apparent grandsons are sort of very shady characters and racists, and they're hailed as being wonderful people when really they're just these shady characters. And basically, you don't get all the honesty that you get in other countries. It's very shady and schemish, many circumstances it's a demanding country, and it's a rip-off country, and it annoys me because I don't like the image. I don't like having to see the image. I mean, I wish the princes would just, get off the magazine covers because they're sort of unworthy of being there. They're not warm public figures. They've got violence and they've got all these attitudes that are considered English, and they're not the kind of people that you'd want to know. They're more likely likened to thugs rather than to people, and it's sort of it's a stamp against humanity to embrace these sorts of people, because I think they're just lowly characters. And I think England's a very lowly country, and I think they should be investigated for more crimes than what they have been. And I think all their superpower should be torn right down. I think they should be tossed as a superpower of the world. I think the crown should be tossed for it being corrupt and dishonest. I think the prince's biographies need to be changed so that Prince Charles, is honest with the world and claims them not as his sons, but as his adopted sons from Australia. And that would make probably a lot of people feel better that that the image has been living in supreme dishonesty, that the royal palace with the princes, that biography has been sort of blown up in order to portray a royal biography which is dishonest, because they weren't actually sort of born where it was claimed, and that they weren't actually Prince Charles and Princess Diana's kids at all. They were just picked up from the hospital and tossed into this fanfare of dishonesty, and I think the fact that the world reads dishonest articles that are supposed to be history, the world reads and learns about them. They're forced to be educated about them, and I think that is a corruption as well, because they're lies. What you're reading are lies, and you're not learning anything about the truth of the world. All you're just learning about is people can make anything up, and what you read is what you're learning in your school, and it's all just a bag of neatness. It's a neat biography, but it's all just a bag of lies. And that's, part of the corruption of the world as well.